The year is 1939. The world stands at a crossroads, with the memory of the Great War still haunting the streets and hearts of Europe. Tension crackles in the air, and uncertainty looms over every city and village. Europe stands on the precipice of another devastating war. In Germany, a young naval officer named Heinrich Lehmann-Willenbrock is about to embark on a career that will forever be intertwined with the deadly underwater conflict of the Second World War. He is one of many who will be swept up in the tides of history, but his journey will prove to be extraordinary. His story is one of courage, skill, and, well, the harsh realities faced by sailors in the Battle of the Atlantic. It is a story of the rise and fall of the U-boat king. Through relentless storms, enemy attacks, and the ever-present threat of the deep, Lehmann-Willenbrock and his crew would be tested to their very limits. Lehmann-Willenbrock's journey will take him from the depths of the ocean to the heights of wartime fame, and ultimately back to a world grappling with the consequences of conflict. His actions would echo far beyond the steel hull of his submarine, shaping the course of the war and the lives of those around him. His story is not just about submarines and torpedoes, but about the human beings who lived and died in the unforgiving arena of the North Atlantic. It is about brotherhood, sacrifice, and the struggle to survive in a world torn apart by conflict. Join us as we delve into the life of this remarkable commander and explore the fascinating and often terrifying world of U-boat warfare during World War II. Discover the untold stories, the moments of triumph and despair, and the legacy left behind by those who sailed beneath the waves. Heinrich Lehmann-Willenbrock was born in Bremen, Germany in 1911. His early years were shaped by the rhythms of a city defined by its connection to the water, where ships and sailors were a common sight along the bustling riverbanks. Bremen, a port city, had a strong maritime tradition, and the sea was in Lehmann-Willenbrock's blood from a young age. The constant movement of cargo, the sound of ship horns, and the stories of sailors returning from distant lands all left a lasting impression on him. Growing up, he was drawn to stories of adventure on the high seas, and he yearned for a life of excitement and challenge. He would spend hours reading about famous explorers and imagining himself at the helm of a great ship, navigating uncharted waters. In 1931, at the age of 20, Lehmann-Willenbrock joined the Reichsmarine, the navy of the Weimar Republic. This decision marked the beginning of a lifelong commitment to the sea and to serving his country. He excelled in his training, displaying a natural aptitude for seamanship and leadership. His instructors quickly recognized his discipline, determination, and ability to inspire those around him. The young Lehmann-Willenbrock quickly rose through the ranks, proving himself to be a capable and ambitious officer. His dedication and skill set him apart from his peers, earning him the respect of both superiors and fellow sailors. As the Germany rearmed under the Nazi regime, the Reichsmarine was transformed into the Kriegsmarine, the navy of the Third Reich. This period of rapid change brought new opportunities and challenges for ambitious officers like Lehmann-Willenbrock. Lehmann-Willenbrock's skills and dedication did not go unnoticed, and he was soon assigned to the U-boat force, a branch of the Navy that would play a pivotal role in the coming conflict. This assignment would set the stage for his legendary career beneath the waves. The U-boat arm was a highly selective and demanding branch of the Kriegsmarine. Only the best and most dedicated officers were chosen to command these underwater vessels. Lehmann-Willenbrock's early years in the U-boat force were marked by rigorous training and increasingly challenging assignments. He served as a watch officer on several U-boats, honing his skills in navigation, torpedo warfare, and the art of silent hunting. His superiors recognized his tactical acumen and his ability to inspire his men. He was cool under pressure, decisive in action, and honestly possessed an almost uncanny ability to anticipate the movements of enemy ships. In 1941, Lehmann-Willenbrock was given command of his own U-boat, U-96. He was just 30 years old. This marked a turning point in his career, propelling him onto a path that would see him become one of the most successful and celebrated U-boat commanders of the war. Germany's U-boats were the silent predators of the Second World War, waging a deadly campaign against Allied shipping in the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. Their mission to cripple the flow of supplies from North America to Great Britain, starving the island nation into submission. U-boats were essentially underwater torpedo platforms, capable of staying submerged for extended periods and striking enemy ships with deadly accuracy. They operated in groups known as wolf packs, coordinating their attacks to overwhelm Allied convoys. The Battle of the Atlantic was a brutal contest of technology, tactics, and endurance. For the U-boat crews, it was a claustrophobic and perilous existence, hunted relentlessly by Allied warships and aircraft. Under the determined command of Heinrich Lehmann-Willenbrock, U-96 quickly rose to become one of the most successful and feared U-boats of the entire war. His leadership style was both strict and compassionate, earning the loyalty of his men and the attention of his superiors. He led the vessel and its dedicated crew on 7 perilous war patrols, navigating treacherous waters and sinking numerous Allied merchant ships and warships. Each mission tested their resolve and skill, forging a bond among the crew that would last a lifetime. Lehmann-Willenbrock's daring exploits earned him the nickname U-Boat King, a title that reflected not only his tactical brilliance but also the respect he commanded from both his own men and even his adversaries at sea. One of U-96's most famous and grueling patrols took place in the harsh winter of 1941. When the Atlantic was at its most unforgiving, the boat and its crew endured relentless storms, terrifying depth-charge attacks, and several close encounters with enemy warships. Life aboard was a constant struggle for survival, with danger lurking at every turn. This legendary patrol would later form the basis for the acclaimed novel and subsequent film Das Boot, which offered a gripping and honestly realistic portrayal of life aboard a German U-boat during the war, capturing the tension and claustrophobia of submarine warfare. While Das Boot depicts a fictionalized account, it truly captures the essence of the danger, boredom and camaraderie experienced by U-boat crews. The film's attention to detail immerses viewers in the daily lives and emotional struggles of the men beneath the waves. Lehmann-Willenbrock himself served as an advisor on the film, lending his first-hand experiences to ensure its authenticity. His involvement helped bring the true spirit and hardships of the U-boat service to the screen, preserving their story for future generations. Life aboard a U-boat was, well, a claustrophobic and dangerous existence. The boats were cramped, humid, and reeked of diesel fuel, sweat, and unwashed bodies. Privacy was honestly non-existent. The crew worked tirelessly at their stations, their lives dependent on the smooth operation of the vessel's complex machinery. When submerged, the air grew thick and stale, and the constant threat of enemy attack weighed heavily on the minds of the crew. Depth-charge attacks were perhaps the most terrifying experience. The explosions would rock the boat violently, showering the interior with metal fragments and sending shockwaves through the water that could crush a submarine's hull like an eggshell. The psychological toll on the crews was immense, the prolonged periods of confinement, the constant fear of death, and the knowledge that they were surrounded by hundreds of feet of crushing water took a heavy toll. As the war progressed, the tide began to turn against Germany in the Battle of the Atlantic. Allied forces deployed new technologies, such as radar and sonar, that made it increasingly difficult for U-boats to operate undetected. Long-range aircraft patrolled the skies above the Atlantic, hunting for U-boats on the surface, escort carriers, small aircraft carriers that could accompany convoys, provided vital air cover. The once seemingly invincible U-boats were becoming increasingly vulnerable. By 1943, Allied shipbuilding had outpaced U-boat sinkings, and the flow of supplies to Britain was no longer in serious jeopardy. The Battle of the Atlantic, while far from over, had reached a turning point. With the defeat of Germany in 1945, Lehmann-Willenbrock's naval career came to an end. He was captured by Allied forces and spent several months as a prisoner of war. Upon his release, he returned to a defeated and devastated Germany. Like many of his fellow countrymen, he struggled to come to terms with the horrors of the war and to rebuild his life. He eventually found work in the import-export business, putting his wartime experiences behind him and living a quiet and private life. Despite his wartime fame, Lehmann-Willenbrock remained a private man, rarely speaking about his experiences in the U-boat force. He passed away in 1986 at the age of 75. Heinrich Lehmann-Willenbrock was a complex and controversial figure. He was a highly decorated officer who served his country with distinction, earning the respect of his men and his enemies alike. Yet he was also a product of his time, a loyal servant of a brutal regime. His story, and the story of the U-boat war in general, stands as a reminder of the human cost of conflict. It highlights the courage, sacrifice, and resilience of those who fought in the Battle of the Atlantic, both above and below the waves. The U-boat campaign ultimately failed to achieve its strategic objectives. However, it left an indelible mark on the course of World War II, shaping the conflict at sea and highlighting the strategic importance of the Atlantic Ocean. The legacy of Lehmann-Willenbrock, the U-boat king, continues to fascinate and remind us of the human stories behind the grand narratives of war.